What is good, everybody? Welcome in. We are not live. We are pre-recorded on this special edition of Major Push Wrestling, episode number 45. As you can see, I am solo today. I figured because the schedules didn't work live on Wednesday and Thursdays and stuff didn't work for me, that I was not going to go live this week, but we will be back live next week, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Stay tuned for that. I will have a panel and we will be discussing a very highly anticipated topic. So stay tuned for that. I might drop a little nugget about what that topic is towards the end of the show. So stay tuned again for that. So I am your host, Papa Gino, and this is Major Push Wrestling again. So I wanted to talk about the state of professional wrestling in 2026. There are a few things that I wanted to discuss, some things I'm hearing online, some things that I'm reading, and I wanted to address this to you guys and give you my thoughts. Before we get started, shout out to everybody watching this on demand. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to comment down below. Let me know if you think I'm right, if you think I'm wrong, somewhere in between. The best thing about wrestling, as I always say, is that it's subjective, it's art. So what might work for some people might not work for other people. I know me and the No DQ Galaxy and all the No DQ panelists, we see some things differently. Some things I like, some things they don't, and vice versa. And that's okay. Especially when we're trying to have a discussion. It's not about tearing somebody down. It's about stating your thoughts on things. So here are my thoughts on the state of wrestling in 2026. The first thing I wanted to go over, the hot button issue, is these releases and then the returns of former stars or talent. So people like Sheamus, The New Day, obviously all the post-WrestleMania cuts with the Wyatts and things of that nature. We had the cuts of some of the Tongans and the MFTs, and they're bringing back guys like Big Cass, Baron Corbin, hopefully Enzo, fingers crossed, but like Cass is going to be dead on arrival if he's not with Enzo. Nothing against him, but they're a package deal. The mouthpiece and the muscle, like that works. I'm not saying Cass can't do his own thing, but it certainly won't be as merch selling or as invigorating to the audience as an Enzo return. Now, we have to remember, because sometimes as wrestling fans, we lose sight of this fact. Professional wrestling, it started out, it evolved into a nationwide, worldwide thing through Vince McMahon and obviously WCW and all those things, right? But it is and always will be a business, right? You'll hear the term cash grab in things like the movie industry. And to me, like I understand the spirit behind that statement, but businesses are in the business to make money. So every movie is a cash grab. Same thing with professional wrestling. Their TKO didn't buy and merge UFC, however it went down, to lose money. They did it to make money. And if they can not keep talent on their roster that has either gotten stale or they don't know what to do with, and they don't want to take a reduced pay to stay with the company, even if it's in catering, what have you, then because of AEW, blame AEW if you have a problem with these stars leaving. And I'm not saying like that's the main issue. The issue is obviously that they're trying to ask them to take pay cuts, potentially on contracts that are still ongoing. But if you're trying to restructure a deal, sometimes people have to take less money. That happens in sports. That happens all over the place. But you blame AEW because these wrestlers feel like they can go get paid more money elsewhere from WWE. Now, to double up on these releases, WWE was releasing people like Zoe Stark as soon as she became healthy. So they let her stay on the payroll throughout her entire injury and then didn't force her to stay on longer because she couldn't appear on TV because she was hurt. They basically however you want to look at it, they paid for her to heal up and get better. Elton Prince, he's still on the roster, has an injury, and they're paying him to be on the roster. So like, they're not all bad guys. Like TKO is not all bad. And I've been one of the biggest haters of what TKO has been doing, but you got to call things down the middle, right? Like a special guest referee or a regular referee. You got to, in my mind, you have to be able to look at things through the both sides lens and give credit where credit is due. They don't have to keep these injured wrestlers on their contracts. Like a contract, usually when somebody's hiring a talent, especially with wrestling stuff, like independent contractors, however you want to look at it, like they don't have to like use people, and they can let them out of their contract, release them, whether or not there's a 90-day clause after they're released or however that works. Those are the semantics, but WWE has kept a lot of wrestlers on their payroll who are hurt, and they don't have to do that. They're cutting and releasing or asking guys to restructure who have not done well. Now, I'm not saying they're not good talent. They haven't done well with the material given, and obviously that is a large part due to the creative and the booking. And so I did want to now shift over to creative. Right now we've had King and Queen of the Ring, which was booked like a toddler who's never seen wrestling before, like somebody playing 2K who has no knowledge of the business, just plug and play. Liv Morgan should have never been in the thing. Now we have a rematch for the title, like, but Queen of the Ring is supposed to matter. We had Oba in King of the Ring after all the stuff that he's been doing with Brock, whether you think he should have been continuing his feud with Brock or not, they are. And again, call it like I see it, the SummerSlam match is a highly anticipated match. So I'm not totally hating the idea of seeing a Brock versus Oba Hell in a Cell match. Just not. Did they need to have him booked to win King of the Ring and then forfeit his title shot or delay his title shot or whatever it is, right? Probably not. But one of the things I'm not seeing people talking about is Oba literally said on Raw, it doesn't matter if I'm giving up on professional wrestling or on the world title, because Brock was just going to interfere in my match anyway. So he basically implied that even if he went for the title, Brock was going to cost him the victory. So is that a good explanation? It's all right. Is it should they have done the booking differently? Absolutely. No argument here on that. But he did have a nice, maybe even throwaway line about you, because it was kind of over the argument with Heyman a little bit, and you couldn't really hear. I mean, I heard, I don't know if other people did, but I'm not seeing people talking about it. Oba literally said Brock would cost me the title. Anyway, people were speculating that Brock interferes in King of the Ring matches to have Oba lose, and I didn't see WWE paying him to do something like that. So if you're okay with Brock potentially have costed Oba King of the Ring so that he doesn't have to win, right? That's why he would cost him. Then you kind of got to be okay with the fact that Lesnar could have costed him the world title match in Minneapolis at SummerSlam. So now that brings me to my next point. The cutting the legs out from underneath rising stars. It's been time and time again that people who are on the rise have to get humbled, they haven't paid enough dues. They haven't shown that they can lose without being salty backstage, or however their mentality behind those decisions have been. It's not just a TKO thing. It was a Vince McMahon thing too. And I see it a little bit in AEW, not so much. Thankfully, they're starting to pivot towards trying to build new stars and have a roster of main eventers, or at least a handful or two handfuls of guys and gals that can main event. But you've got guys like Obafemi where he's looking unbeatable, even though we know he lost to Ricky Saints in NXT. They walked that thing real quick. But he's to the world when you're on NXT, it's kind of in its own little bubble. That's fine. Whatever. I still disagreed with it, but Oba losing to Brock, showing that he can be beaten, like, it's kind of cutting the legs out from under him. And now not having him go for the title shot that the day after WrestleMania, he was verbally going after Roman Reigns and saying, I'm coming for you. Like, I get it. The Seth match is intriguing, whatever. But, like, they're clearly pulling back on his full send. Oh, but Gino, if he beats Brock at SummerSlam, okay, cool. Like, if he beats Brock at SummerSlam, theoretically, we're in the exact same place we were the day after WrestleMania. Except they gave Brock and Oba in Italy, where that was already a sold out show. No offense to the Italians, I'm obviously Papagino, I'm Italian, but they were going to that show. If you're going to put on spectacle matchups, like, you can spread them out or you can stack the card. Like, I'm not arguing against having a stacked card. That's not how I want to be, but like, it felt like they were just inserting that match just to insert it, just to get Brock his win back and all those things. And that wasn't needed. Meanwhile, they have SummerSlam where they're struggling to sell, bigger arena, multiple nights, it's a stadium, all those variables go into it as well. It's in Minnesota. I mean, really, people, nothing against Minnesota. I've never been there, but like, that's not really like a destination that people want to like necessarily travel to. It's really just there seemingly because they wanted like to retire Brock from Gunther and all that rumors, if you believe what you saw on the internet. But like, there are bigger problems than the card strength and the matchup strength on SummerSlam. I mean, they're going to Madison Square Garden and they don't really seem too keen on it, making that a stacked card, but at least they're throwing more stars in other than the main event match being got two guys that I really like, Danhausen and JD McDonough. But those are just the things that kind of they're struggling with when, again, it comes to make money. Yeah, they can lower the ticket prices, but the problem is they've been conditioned to believe people will pay that because people have been paying it. As somebody who went to Backlash, I thought the tickets were reasonably priced, and that was the first premium live event after WrestleMania. So with that being said, obviously the stadium shows and the 2 nights and things like that are going to be a little bit more pricey. They're going to be longer, all those factors as well. But if you can't sell tickets and put butts in seats, I think it comes down to the location. I think it comes down to the event, whether it's 2 nights, all those types of things. And we don't even really know what night is what. So maybe people are waiting. Oh, what's going to be the night 1 card? What's going to be the night 2 card? Then I'll get my tickets to know, because 9 times out of 10, you're not. It's not financially feasible to go to both nights unless you've got paper like that. It's just not. So if I'm wanting to go when I'm in Minneapolis or I'm in the Minnesota area and I want to go, I'm waiting to buy my ticket, hoping that prices go down as it gets closer, hoping to understand which night I want to go to. So those are things a rational consumer is doing. And it's the people that will pay $100 million, or, obviously it's not the price, but like green shirt guy, he's always in his spot. He's probably paying a pretty premium for that seat. Like, I'm not saying it's on him, but like, there are people just like him that can afford it. So they go and they pay the price without looking for a discount, without doing any of that. And WWE wants those people attending the shows. They want people with money, because if you get in there and you have money, you're also buying merch and you're buying drinks. Like a rational consumer who's living on a budget or balling on a budget, as you would say, they might be able to afford the ticket, depending on how long the travel is, and maybe a drink. But if they're drinking, they're probably pre-gaming hard before the event. They want a certain type of person in the venue, and then potentially you get famous people and all that stuff. And I'm just going to sidebar for a second. The people that bring those gigantic heads right on the camera side, right in the center, and it's like it's not of wrestlers, which I would be less have a problem with. It's of like themselves or their kid or whomever. And like, that WrestleMania 40 main event, like I hated seeing those big signs. Like they're definitely monitoring what signs are being brought in. It's just local Joe Schmo workers who work the stadium, like they don't really care, but they shouldn't be letting people in with these gigantic head things that aren't for wrestlers. They're just self-promotion. Like if I got my sign taken away for I had hashtag no DQ and I get that sign taken away, then why is somebody allowed to promote their face? Like I'd like and forget obscuring the view of the people behind you. It's ruining these magical shots that you have of guys like The Rock and Cena face to face and things of that nature. So you have to cut around it as a company and use different shots to not get those annoying heads in your shot. So that's the end of my sidebar. So we're talking about the creative. And one thing about the creative I want to now address is the champions. It was a main topic, a major topic on the show a few weeks back. Go check it out. They don't have storylines for their champions. You look at Liv Morgan. She was thrown in Queen of the Ring. She hasn't had a title defense since she got the title. She's got literally two people in her faction that could be challenging her for the title and should be potentially taking it off of her for a good storyline. They're like waiting on Rhea. They're waiting on Stephanie Vaquer. And it's like, nothing against those gals, but like you have people in the company that you could at least be having matches against. And that's creative's fault. It's, and like I said in the previous video, it's very clear that they're putting the title on people that they don't have storyline plans with. The people who have storylines are they feel like the championships aren't necessary. I mean, there are a few, right? Like, the tag team titles, the division, they have their storyline, but the titles aren't part of their storyline. Their storyline theoretically could or could not be happening without it. I know you needed Maxine to have them win the titles. Yes, I get that. But it's not about people wanting the tag titles. It's about the Vision's relationship. So, but it's a story. I'll give them that. But you got guys like Roman who aren't showing up. The only storyline that's there is, well, we have 15 years of history. Let's run it back. Okay, like that's fine. But like he doesn't have a story. His story once we beat Jacob, his story isn't existent anymore. He's got nobody with a story. Like recently, yeah, like we know the history between Seth and Roman. Like I'm not gonna insult that at all, but it's not like they've been having anything more than a occasional face-to-face stare down in Gorilla in the past and like very recently. And you've got gals like Soul. She's getting thrust into a different story that has nothing to do with her championship. Penta. Every time Penta's defending the title, okay, the Intercontinental title scene, they have a bunch of guys that are trying to win the title, and so they're kind of all round robin competing against each other, literally in the case of the gauntlet match, to have the shot at the title. But this isn't a Penta story. This is a contender, number one contender story between those guys, and it downplays the titles. Like on any given day, I could be forgetting who's holding these minor titles. Insult me if you want, whatever. I just feel like we shouldn't be forgetting. And I never forgot who was a champion when I was younger because it seemed to matter more. So Soul's got nothing going on. Penta really, they might have him matches and whatever, but it's not the same. And you've got Cody Rhodes. Okay, he's involved in a story which the title is the focus, but so is the interpersonal conflict between his challengers. So I'll give that one a pass. As much as I, have my feelings about Cody and being stale or just kind of he doesn't need the title type of situation, I'm fine with that. But not having a story booked after your champions win their titles and not having an idea where you're going to go with them, unless your idea is, we'll wait on this person to get healthy, like that goes against the original point of, or one of my original points about cutting the legs out from rising stars, right? You have the title and have no plan for afterwards. And you have people that you're waiting for to come back because you're proving that these people matter and that they are not necessarily above the business, but the show doesn't go on without them, type of thing. And when you have rising stars with their legs cut out from underneath them because they don't want any one star getting too big and potentially hurting WWE in some way, leaving, whatever the case is, I see that as basically the same thing, right? You're saying that Stephanie and Rhea, well, Rhea is probably the top female in the industry as a whole, but like Stephanie, yeah, she's great, whatever. But like you're basically saying that they matter, they've become so important to us. Meanwhile, you're cutting the legs out from other people and you're not letting them become important. So it's like they're picking and choosing, and I'm just not really sure why they can't pivot when the Triple H regime was like basically founded on pivoting from the Cody Crybabies, the We Want Cody movement leading into WrestleMania 40. So I have that. Now, the final thing I wanted to address here is the quality of the TV shows that they have going on. Thank goodness SmackDown is down to 2 hours. Raw now feels like it drags compared to SmackDown, but they've been putting on good shows lately. It's almost like they care again. When you go 50 plus weeks a year of live storytelling, it's tough. I get it. It's tough for sure. And some of the issues that I have with creative are very much because they're doing it because they need to drag things out, because it's really difficult, I would imagine, for the people they have working there to come up with compelling storylines consistently. But when you have a show like last Monday, when they have the title change and the show feels like a well-written episode of TV from start to finish, and then you've got the next night, the Dallas was great too here last Monday, and they're showing that they care and they can do it. I'm sure it's not a coincidence that it's right before a premium live event and a Saturday night's main event back to back. Like they really have no choice but to hit the gas pedal on these things. But they can do good TV if they want. I just don't feel like they're always compelled to want to do that. And that becomes frustrating because it's like, if you've got kids, I work with kids, you see the potential, and if they don't have the potential, you're not going to hold them to a certain standard. But if they have potential and they've shown that they can do great things and then consistently underdeliver, like that's a thing that you're going to be like pushing somebody harder to achieve again, because you know that they can do it. You know they're capable. It wouldn't be asking you to do these things if I didn't think you were capable. Like, I know you can get an A in this class. I know you can beat that time, or however it looks. So I know they can put on good shows. When wrestling is fun and good and interesting, and you feel like you have to watch like every segment on the show to get it to make sense, like that's how you get your numbers up across the board. And it's frustrating when they're not putting on good TV, because then it doesn't really make you want to go watch the premium live events, even though guys like me, I'm going to watch every premium live event. So, maybe I'm part of the problem. Let me know in the comment section if I'm part of the problem, because there's really nothing that there's no event that they could put on that I would just be like, no, I'm not watching it. Like, I might not watch it live, depending on the time of day or if I'm busy, things like that, but I'll definitely always check it out. And again, maybe I'm part of the problem. Maybe not. We'll have to see about that. So that is kind of where my head is at with the state of wrestling. At the end of the day, it's a business. They have to do what they have to do to make money. If they can bring in people that the fans are happy seeing again, and it costs them less money, it's a win-win. Losing people that the fans want to see, tough. It is tough for us as fans. I love Sheamus. I love the New Day. But if they think they can go somewhere else and do better, or they don't, or they know their worth, you know your worth, you know your worth. And they're not gone forever. They could always come back. Like WWE could just recycle this time and time again. But the issue is their core four, your Seth, Roman, Cody, and Punk, they're not going anywhere, and they're only getting older. Like, you need people factored into that. I thought it was going to be Gunther, but we talked about creative, and nobody's suffered more from creative than Gunther lately. I just still can't believe that they made his John Cena retirement like what he's done since then. Is obviously the AJ Styles thing was one thing, but since then they were waiting for healthy Rey Mysterio for WrestleMania. Like, stop waiting for guys to get healthy and book around them. And you can always change it if they do get healthy. You could always write somebody off. You could always have somebody attack. I mean, didn't Jey Uso like get bloodied up and beaten down backstage to stop them from competing in something over the last 6 months or so? You guys know what I'm talking about. If you do, great. If not, no worries. But let me know exactly what moment I'm thinking about in the comment section. So that's what I have to say about that. This has been Major Push Wrestling, the talk show where we give wrestling the major push that it deserves. I'm your host, Papa Gino, and big shout out to Oofman, Noah, Aaron, JJ, Dave, Evan, Virtue, Big G, all the guys at No DQ, C-Rod, who's been on the channel here. Like, shout out to all the guys out there that, you know, having this community through No DQ, like, super gracious. And yeah, go check them out, YouTube No DQ. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. This isn't live right now, but next week and moving forward will be Wednesdays at 7 p.m. unless stated otherwise. But I'm doing my best while I'm on vacation. You see the background is different. I'm doing my best while I'm on vacation to deliver you guys content, and hopefully you guys enjoy. So that has been it. Again, thank you so much for watching. And as always, I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.